The learning goal of this lesson is to define key ideas in algebra and model how to approach and answer basic algebraic questions. At the end of the lesson, I'll explain why x is always the unknown in algebra. Algebra is a language, and like any new language, it will seem incomprehensible at the start. However, stick with it, because if you do, it will eventually click and you'll start to understand what the questions with the strange words like coefficients, expressions, constant terms, quotients, etc. are asking. The first aim of this lesson is to talk you through some of these strange new terms. Pronumerals are letters used to represent one or more numbers. A variable is a letter used to represent more than one number. A times B is written as AB, and A divided by B is written as A over B. A times A is written as A squared. An expression is a combination of numbers and pronumerals combined with mathematical operations, e.g. 2x plus 4yz. A term is a part of an expression with only pronumerals, numbers, multiplication and division, e.g. 9a, 10cd, and 3x over 5 are all terms. A coefficient is the number in front of a pronumeral. If the term is being subtracted, the coefficient is a negative number. Remember this, it's a common mistake. And if there is no number in front, the coefficient is 1. For the expression 2x plus y minus 6z, the coefficient of x is 2, the coefficient of y is 1, and the coefficient of z is minus 6. A term that does not contain any variables is called a constant term. The sum of a and b is a plus b. The difference of a and b is a minus b. The product of a and b is a times b, or ab. The quotient of a and b is a divided by b, or a over b. And the square of a is a squared. Students often make mistakes because they fail to read the question correctly. There are some good habits you can get into when answering questions. As you're reading the question, underline the key words. This will help you to answer the actual question. I'll model answering a question. This particular question asked me to state the coefficient of b for the expression 2a plus 4b squared minus 12b. I underline the words state and coefficient of b. I know that a coefficient is the number in front of a pronumeral. There are a few potential pitfalls. I need to ignore the b squared because b squared is different to b. What I'm looking for is the minus 12b. Because the 12b is being subtracted, I need to include the negative, so the coefficient of b is minus 12. And that's it, you've made it. To quickly reflect on the main points of the lesson, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to fail. I promise that if you persevere, all these algebraic terms will start to make sense. It takes every person a different amount of time, but everyone can get there. Don't give up. Remember to underline the keywords in the question. This will help you to cut down on silly errors. At the start of the lesson, I promised to explain why x is the unknown in algebra. Well, Terry Moore does this in a TED Talk, which you can get to if you click on his image. However, I'll summarise this talk now. The Persians, Arabs, and Turks made great advances in science, mathematics, and engineering in the first centuries AD. However, many of their discoveries are credited to the West. The words algebra and al-Shayan both derive from the Arabic language. When Spanish scholars began to translate Arabic texts during the medieval period, they were unable to make the sh sound necessary for al-Shayan, so they borrowed the k sound from the classical Greeks and used the letter ki to mean the unknown. Later, when this was translated into a common European language, Latin, they simply replaced the Greek ki with the Latin x. So this means that the reason why x is the unknown in algebra is because you can't say sh in Spanish. Ain't language grand? So as the orchestra music begins to play, the final thing for me to do is to thank you so much for watching.